You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
Well, guys, let's talk about ESPN's Stephen Anthony Smith. It seems like, guys, Stephen A. Smith may actually dump the sports world for the political world. Now, everyone knows he actually has his own show, the Stephen A. Smith Show, where he talks sports. He still talks sports there. And he talks a lot of politics. Okay? But apparently, guys, Stephen A. Smith may be ready to throw in the towel and run for president as a Democrat. Now, folks, Stephen A. Smith has a 0% chance of getting a nomination, guys. He's better off staying in the sports lane. For one thing, the pay is not even close to what he's getting at ESPN. I mean, the presidency only pays, what, $400,000 a year or something like that? Stephen A. Smith is making, $13 million at ESPN? And the man has always been very, very clear. He loves his money. And we know that he's looking for a new contract also with ESPN. And I believe ESPN offered him somewhere around $18 million. I believe he wants 20 plus. You're not going to get that in politics, guys. You're not going to do it. Not as an elected official unless you do some shady Nancy Pelosi stuff on the side and end up being worth like $200-300 million. Okay? But Stephen A. Smith has appeared on his good friend Sean Hannity's show. And he's actually floating the idea, guys, that he could actually lead the sports world, lead First Take, to actually run for president. Now, folks, if you've been paying attention to politics, the Democratic Party, and Stephen A. actually said he's not a Democrat. Stephen A. Smith believes he can actually win the nomination. He can actually win the whole entire presidency. No, he can't. For one thing, if you actually listen to Stephen A. Smith, he makes sense sometimes. He really, really does. Stephen A. Smith is not to the left of Lenin. Those people, man, now the Democrats, man, they just had an election for their DNC chair and vice chair. They voted for people that's to the left of Lenin. They're still woke, man. Stephen A. Smith has been outspoken against wokeness. They're not going to elect a person like Stephen A. Smith. Just not going to happen, guys. Let's go over here, man. Let's watch some of this clip here of Stephen A. Smith on Hannity talking about running for president. Now, I got questions, man, about Stephen A. Smith's politics, guys, because this man voted for Kamala Harris. Why? Simply because she had a D next to her name, nothing more. Even though Stephen A. said he's a centrist and that he's not a Democrat, but he really is. Let's go and watch this.
So the Democrats went radical left. They picked new party leaders. They're struggling to find out who to rally behind in 2028. A recent poll of potential presidential nominees shows former Vice President Kamala Harris in the lead at 33%, followed by former Transportation Secretary Pothole Pete Buttigieg at 9%, Gavin Newsom at 7%,
wow.
And the recent Vice
That bench is awful.
nominee Tim Walz sits at 3%. 1 point behind him is our friend Stephen A. Smith.
Wow, guys. So Stephen Anthony Smith can't even top a man that put tampons in the boys' restroom. Yeah, he can't beat him out. He can't even beat out Kamala Harris. And we know that she is the worst possible candidate on this list. And her poll numbers seem to be dropping because that 33% was actually higher than that, like right after the election.
Who is currently the star of First Take on ESPN, and he said he might consider a run. Really, Stephen? Look.
The Democratic Party looks so pathetic after this election. I might entertain running. I just might change my mind one day. I doubt it, but I might. Because how much would it take to beat y'all? And Trump can't run again.
Now, Stephen A. also has come out strong against Trump's recent actions to dismantle the DEI wokeness that took over our government under Biden and, of course, before him, Barack Obama. And he is preparing for a presidential run. Let's ask him. Stephen A., how are you? Okay, what you said is, I might entertain running for president. You can't afford the pay cut by your own admission. And if
Hannity is right.
Your party would never nominate you because you're far too reasonable, although
Hannity is right.
A couple of bones to pick with you tonight.
Well, first of all, number one, you're absolutely right. My lifestyle is quite lovely, and I would not want to ruin that by running for the presidency of the United States of America. I have no interest, but I was just trying to make a profound point, and that is that I think the Democratic Party in the state that they find themselves in, I think somebody like me could actually win. I certainly think that I could beat any of those candidates that you put on the screen. I can tell you that right now. I certainly think if I was running up against somebody like you, I would win that race too. So when you think about the candidates that you possibly go up against,
I'm running. If you run, I'll run.
Listen. You have no chance in hell of beating me because you're too rigid. You don't have any patience for people that disagree with you. You'd lose your mind.
No, on the other hand, lecture people am a man of the patience.
Okay, I'm the man of the people. Whatever the American people wanted.
I'm the one that wants lower taxes, limited government. I'm the one that wants energy dominance, controlled borders, law and order, better schools.
You want it all.
I'm sorry, you're going to lose that debate. Now, but put that aside for a second.
I'm going to lose it. I know how to compromise. But go ahead.
Okay, you actually said about DEI, what you're really saying when you talk about DEI, what you're really saying is we want white dominance again. Let me put up on the screen, and this was first instituted, as it relates to the FAA under Barack Obama. Their diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Now, Stephen A., you fly a lot. Do you want people with intellectual and psychiatric disabilities in that control tower?
Nope.
Not at all. Not at all. And by the way, quote me accurately. I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. Quote me accurately. My issue with the eradication of DEI was not that on its premise. It was the explanation that the Trump administration and others were giving about it. I don't want to hear DEI automatically being about people who happen to be minorities that are unqualified. That is what I was saying. I said it's one thing to get rid of it altogether. It's another thing entirely to articulate and verbalize the position that, excuse me, everybody that was associated with DEI are unqualified individuals. We don't want unqualified individuals, particularly in public safety. I'm saying that's how people were coming across. That's how people. Of course, we agree on it. Of course, we agree on it. But when you have somebody like Hegseth, well, for example, let's use him because he was speaking about your former colleague at Fox News. Hold on. That's not a defense secretary. Excuse me. Listen, I respect. Listen, I'm not bringing up anything personal. I'm simply saying, my God, Sean, when you're talking about people who are unqualified, I wish him nothing but the best. He served our country, in the military. I get all of that. But when you are a weekend host on Fox News, and now you're the defense secretary of the United States overseeing 3.5 million people.
Let me ask you, did you serve in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Gitmo?
No,
did you go to Harvard?
Did
you go to Harvard? Did you go to
Princeton?
Yeah, well, he's certainly a pretty intelligent guy. So I would say.
I didn't say he wasn't intelligent.
Why don't we give a real soldier an opportunity? All right, I got another.
Okay, I'm going to leave that right there, man. Stephen A., man, he is something else. Even Front Office Sports here seems to be mocking Stephen A. right here. Says the ESPN commentator is polling at 2% in a recent survey, right behind the 3% for vice presidential candidate and Minnesota Governor Tampon Tim. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith, you can't win, man. You cannot win. This is absolutely hilarious, man. Rhodes had actually texted me about this, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I looked it up. I was like, what? Stephen A. Stephen A. is still holding on to the Democrat plantation, man. He has to realize that the Democratic Party is a far left Marxist party, and they are super woke, man. Super woke. There's no way in the world he's going to get the nomination, man. And maybe he won't even run. Save yourself the embarrassment, Stephen A. You got a pretty good job over there at ESPN. You're about to make a whole lot more money, man, and you love your money. You definitely do, man. You vote for Democrats, even though you said you don't like paying the taxes and stuff. Well, stop voting Democrat, man. Just that simple. Stop voting Democrat, man. It seems like Stephen A. is trying to save the Democratic Party, but based on who the Democrats elected to run that party, no way in the world, man. Even though Stephen A. is black, he's not woke enough, man, for the DNC. No way in the world. Gonna leave right there, guys. That's just my thoughts on this. What do you guys think of this? Black and white sports fans, let us know what you think about all this in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And we will catch you next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.